Hey Blades fans, I'm Alli Vellucci alongside Jake Maurice, and the Blades are back in Hertz Arena for a 3-game series against the Orlando Solar Bears. Jake, they're coming into this one after a tough road trip last week, 3 games in 3 days. It's the first time this happened this season. What impressed you about the way that they ended that road trip?
Just the way they were able to bounce back after their toughest loss of the season, 8-2 against the Savannah Ghost Pirates. You're going into Savannah for their Teddy Bear Toss night. It was a sellout crowd, very amped up. Savannah got a goal in the early minute or the early goings of the period to get the Bears on the ice and really get the crowd into the game. But Florida, they just stuck to their plan. Even though they were tired, they just continue to know that they've got a system that works. It's proven it will get them wins throughout the season, and eventually the goals came in a big way, and Florida picked up their biggest win of the season. So it was just an excellent response because, yeah, 3 games in 3 days across 2 cities, that's incredibly tough, especially given the 2 teams they played. One very physical in Greenville, and then Savannah, who's very fast, forces you to skate a whole lot to keep up with them properly to stay in the game. So Florida in that last game coming through and just biding their time, waiting for their opportunities, and burying them, something that they have struggled with a little bit throughout the season. For a big blowout win, really the first we've seen the Everblades get this year, it was really impressive to see.
Let's talk Oliver Chow. He's been outstanding all season long, but specifically recently, Brad Ralph has said he's been a huge force up front. He's had 5 goals and 4 assists in his last 10 games. What has stood out to you just about his dominance overall and his style of play?
Well, one thing is he's really starting to build chemistry. And when you're a rookie player, that can be the difference between an unimpressive rookie season and a really impressive season, is building chemistry with the guys that are already there or some of the other new guys, because that's how you're going to be able to contribute more and more. And especially with Joe Pendenza, I would say, Oliver Chow is really building chemistry with his new teammates. He's really just getting himself into the Everblade style of hockey. You can tell he's 100% bought in to what the coaching staff is telling him to do about his game. And yeah, he's also one of those players that's just continuing. Every time he gets a chance, it seems like he gets it into the back of the net, whether it's just crashing the net for a greasy rebound, getting himself into a good shooting position, or setting up a teammate for a goal. Oliver Chow has been very impressive, and I expect that that's going to continue throughout the rest of this year going into 2023.
Talking a little bit about chemistry, Jake Smith comes in late to this team during the season, fits in almost immediately. He's had 4 goals and 3 assists in his last 3 games. What has made him so good offensively that works so well with the Florida Everblades?
Well, it's just he's provided that shooter's mentality, and Coach talked about how there are some things he still wants to work with Jake Smith's game, things that just he'd have done with Iowa and Norfolk earlier this year that don't work with the way the Everblades play the game. So you've got to get him, especially inside the Everblades' own zone, working. But it's definitely easier to look those things, or kind of keep those things in the back burner, just kind of leave them for later when he's scoring and contributing as much as he is. And it's not just that he's putting up empty calorie goals or anything like that. Like, he's scoring big goals. In his first game, he ties the game to force overtime against the Solar Bears on the road. He scored the overtime winner in the game against Greenville last week to get the road trip started off the right way. So he's coming through in big moments. When the team needs a big goal, Jake Smith's often the one who either gets it or sets it up. And one of the biggest things is just that this team needed a guy that the opponents need to respect every time he's out on the ice, with that kind of lethal shot that you just always have to be ready for to defend. Smith provides that, and it kind of opens up the ice for the rest of the guys, because when the team is so dialed in on Smith, when they have him circled on the sheet saying this is one of the guys we really need to watch out for, it allows a guy like an Oliver Chow or a Cam Morrison to get a little more open than he normally would and then create something.
Let's talk special teams. Orlando's 23rd in the league in PK percentage. Florida's in 24th. The teams are 0.2% difference on the PK right now. Where does Florida need to focus their attention to be the better team on the PK tonight?
Yeah, last week was tough, particularly those 2 games against Savannah, giving up 4 goals across the 2 games, 3 in the 8-2 loss. That's going to drop your numbers for sure. But in a way, it's good for Florida to reset here. You get an opponent who's not great on the power play, that you can get your PK working back to what it was. Hope, of course, that last week was just really an aberration, that Savannah just came ready to go that night and you weren't really, and it just ended up with a bad result. But of course, you can't just change nothing and expect a different result. You do have to make small adjustments. Maybe a little bit more aggression would help, especially Orlando. They're a team that kind of can pass around the perimeter to try and set themselves up. If you can get a guy, if there's a pass that doesn't cleanly connect for whatever reason, you have to quickly get in there, pressure, and get it out. And also Florida, they had a real trouble, especially in that 8-2 loss to Savannah, getting the puck out of their own zone once they got possession of it. Multiple times, Savannah was able to stop a clearing attempt at the blue line and keep pressing. You got to get those pucks out. Doesn't matter if it just gets out beyond the blue paint, enough that it makes the players from the Solar Bears tonight have to get out of the zone and reset, and then you can try and stand up your blue line, force them to dump it in, or at the very least just kill a little bit of time off, maybe swap out one player or two. It just puts you in a much better position. The same thing applies to the power play as well. You could try and take advantage of an Orlando unit that isn't nearly as stout as the Savannah Ghost Pirates, who had the best, still do have the best home penalty kill in the league. You can use it against Orlando here tonight to try and get your power play rolling as well going into the Christmas break. But tonight I think they're going to be more focused on the penalty kill, because Florida, they've shown that they can win when their power play isn't contributing. When the penalty kill isn't doing their job, it's a lot harder for the Everblades to pick up wins.
Everyone has been talking about how close the South Division truly is. Orlando's in last place, but they beat the Everblades both times that we've played them this year. Where does Orlando excel in shutting down Florida's offense?
Well, a big part of it is, one, Orlando, when they've gotten offensive opportunities for themselves, they capitalize. They're the team that's scoring the big goals. But another problem for Florida is against Orlando in the two games, it just seems they're skating themselves into trouble. They allow Orlando to get into their heads a little bit. They get frustrated. They're trying to set up perfect plays, and also just sometimes it seems, I don't know why, but in the two games against the Solar Bears, the Florida Everblades a couple times have made uncharacteristic mistakes. A guy like Dominic Franco, when he was with the team, made an ill-advised drop back. Orlando takes it the other way and scores a shorthanded goal because of a play where you just don't take that one extra second to look behind you and make sure that you've got the option cleanly there. So Florida just making smarter plays will put themselves into a much better position, and Orlando is a team that, including tonight, Orlando seems to be playing Florida when they're in the midst of a tough losing streak, and they're really bringing it. So Florida, they're going to be playing a desperate Orlando Solar Bears team tonight, because as you mentioned, yes, they're the last place team in the division. They've got to climb over at least three other teams if they want to get themselves back in the playoffs. They missed it last year, and they know that, yes, the division is tight right now, but if you keep dropping games like Orlando has been recently, then eventually the gap is going to be too big, especially with how good the other teams in the division are. You're not going to be able to climb yourself back into it. So the Solar Bears, 3 games here against the Everblades going into the Christmas break, all on the road. It's very tough. They know that this is a 6-point swing potentially either way. Orlando cannot allow Florida to take these points, because if they do, then it's early, but it really could sink their season here in December.
We talk about it every time, but Florida battling some injuries and now illness on top of it. We're going to see some new guys in the lineup tonight, some for the first time at home at Hertz Arena. Leaf Matson, James McEwen, Nick Lappin. Where do you see them fitting into tonight's game?
They're all going to have to contribute up and down the lineup, just because basically the Everblades, they're down to their last guys. They really don't have anyone else they can throw in. If these guys can't go, then they're on a shortened lineup. But no, I was really impressed with both James McEwen and Nick Lappin. Both made their debuts with the Everblades on this past road trip. Both of them provided solid options. McEwen, especially for a guy who was a Solar Bear, played against the Everblades the last time these two teams met up and then was released. I was surprised because I thought he played pretty well for Orlando, and they're a team that could use some good offensive firepower. He comes in with the Everblades, and he's a point per game so far through 3 games. Nick Lappin also scoring his first goal with the Everblades in the win on Friday. A nice tip off a shot by McEwen, so it seems those two are working well together. And part of it is just that they're jack-of-all-trades kind of players. Like, they can do really whatever you need them to do. Sure, they're maybe not the most skilled guys on the team. They're not the guys that, oh, we need a big goal right now, I'm sending out one of those two. But it's just, okay, I need a big face-off win. I can definitely trust McEwen to do that. He was dynamite in the face-off dot in all 3 games for the Everblades last week. Even in the loss, one of the few bright spots was how good McEwen was in the draw. Nick Lappin, he was really good along the boards and really smart with finding open guys to allow the Everblades to move the puck in the right direction. So as long as those two guys just continue to play their smart, steady game, they don't try and play hero hockey, just play their game, and I think the fans will be really impressed with them tonight.
All right, Jake, this is going to be a fun one. Blades fans, get loud in Hertz Arena. Warm-ups and puck drop are up next.